The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good men to do nothing. It's important that people wake up to what is going on. It's time that we read the Constitution. It is error that needs the support of government. Truth can stand alone. That was given to us by Thomas Jefferson. Thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Daniel Happney and this is The Real Story. Tonight I got some interesting stuff for you and some interesting parallels we'll end the show with. But what I thought was interesting and stuff was just the news. So I'm going to give you some news you probably didn't hear. But if you look it up, maybe you'll find out, you should do your own due diligence. I always say, follow the money, find the truth. So at The Real Story, let's go over some of this week's news. Just stuff you may not have heard other places. Well, you'll love this. This is in the United States. Small car company backed by Al Gore gets $529 million in a loan from the federal government. You like that? To build sports cars selling for $89,000. So all you sports car drivers out there, you'll have a new car, the Gore-mobile. Okay? Boy, isn't that funny? Al Gore, the global warming guy, building sports cars, okay? Take from the rich and give to the poor. Yeah, right. Oh, and by the way, don't believe me. This was in the Wall Street Journal, September 25th. Okay? U.S., most parents now say they will not have their kids vaccinated against swine flu. That's from the L.A. Times on September 25th. And by the way, how do you like this pandemic hype? It's still going on. Even here in Sharon, if you listen to the Sharon radio, if you want to know about the swine flu outbreak, they call it an outbreak. I haven't seen it break out in Sharon yet, but the swine flu outbreak, you dial 211. Probably do that throughout the state, huh? That's some different issue. But anyway, here, how about this? U.S. New Jersey elementary school. Oh, I'm going to save that. We're going to end up with that one. We got to, that one you'll love, okay? How about this from the United Kingdom? Mental Health Act changed to allow those who refuse swine flu vaccine to be declared paranoid, imprisoned in hospitals, and forcibly drugged. All under government guidelines. And that came out on the 23rd. Okay, how about this one? You love this. This one I got a picture for you because you wouldn't believe me. This is from National Review. This is, global warming claims are based on decades of temperature data. For years, those who requested access to this data were told they weren't qualified to see it. You like that? Gets better. Now no one can see it because the data supposedly has been lost. Don't you love that? My dog ate my global warming data. This is from National Review. This global warming hoax. We just mentioned Al Gore. That's right. You remember carbon credits? How about the new carbon credit exchange? Started by Al Gore, Goldman Sachs, and who else? Bernie Madoff. Didn't he make off with your money? Okay, just interesting stuff. Government, this is in China. Government announces massive weather modification program to prevent rain from upsetting parade and outdoor celebration of Mao's birthday. Why that's important is, first off, it shows you that weather modification is possible. Yeah, the Chinese believe so, and they are doing it. Okay, but what's important here is, think about it. It's Mao's birthday. Mao, the guy who killed 60 million of his own people. This is Holocaust times 10. And meanwhile, we have what? That's our sister thing, all this China love stuff, when the Chinese government is still the same communist government that harvests their people's organs, like I harvest corn. Okay? This is important, and it's important because Saturday up at the Massachusetts State House, they're going to fly the Chinese flag. They killed 60 million of their own people, and they admitted it. Barack, the old man, we'll get into him at the end of the show, but he also is going to fly the Chinese flag. Do you understand the change? Do you get the change? So anyway, some more news. U.S. Center for Disease Control stumbles over evidence, but fails to acknowledge it, that vitamin D deficiency is related to swine flu deaths. This flies in the face of germ theory and, if acknowledged, would cause big pharma to lose billions of vaccine dollars. Oh, that's right. Who's making money? We got to remember this big pharma thing, because who did campaign are they contributing to? How much money is big pharma? Okay. How about the UK government seeks High Court permission to trespass on private land and bug vehicles? All to protect the environment in this case. And that's from the Register, if you ever read the Register out of, England. And I think that's important because here in Massachusetts, you'll love this. Massachusetts High Court rules it is okay for police to break into a vehicle and secretly plant global positioning devices if they get a warrant first. The case involves tracking a drug dealer. Next time, it could be a political dissident, huh? That's from the Boston Globe, by the way, if you want to read September 19th Globe. The UK, you'll love this. It starts off with, it's here. In a trial program, employees' pay is docked when they exceed their carbon emission limit. Oh, we got to give money to globalist bankers and Al Gore, huh? Those who use less than their quota are rewarded. And that's from the Times Online. And it was posted on September 19th. Just if you think I'm kidding about this whole global warming hoax. Just a little FYI from the news. That was interesting news, but just, so you know this global government thing isn't different. The G20's in town. We'll get into what the old man said opening day for the G20, but here's some interesting stuff. We've got, do you remember in the Kelo, Connecticut case where the Supreme Court decided that they could take your home and your land because a private party wanted to build a facility there? In this case, it was Pfizer and a health club. So they took 15 homes from people who had lived there for more than, when I say lived, had owned the property for, multiple generations, 100 years, because Pfizer, there's Big Pharma again, huh? Pfizer wanted to build a facility there. And they were going to employ all sorts of people, and it was going to be great. And so the Kelo case, it was called, okay, down in, I want to say, New London. What's important is it's 4 years later, and guess what? It's a vacant lot. Why? Because the economy's changed. Those globalist bankers are what? They're inflating your currency to nothing, but, all the bailouts. Hey, Al Gore just got $529 million. Why this is all important is, think about Connecticut. They stole from these people, and in America, you were supposed to have the right to own property. That's why people would come to this country, because you could own something. It was yours, okay? And was taken for private use. That's why this Kelo case was really important. And what people don't get is they stole it from these people, booted them out under force with badges and guns. We'll compensate you for it because we want it. Didn't provide the jobs. They aren't building the buildings and stuff. I'd like to be booted out of your house. Maybe your mother or your father needs to get booted out of their house. For a private party to use the property, it's not even like they were building a dam or a bridge or something, that you say really benefits the people. Just remember that. That's your Supreme Court. Your right to own property. The Kelo case. All right. So anyway, this is from Business Wire. Here's a money thing for you, and that is Federal Reserve admits to hiding gold swap arrangements. So, who's watching your gold? The Federal Reserve, which isn't federal, has no reserve, has access to the gold in Fort Knox, and it says the disclosure, okay, contradicts denials provided by the Fed, okay, to Gatter in 2001 that suggests that the Fed indeed very much involved in surreptitious international central bank manipulation and of gold price and particularly of currency markets. Well, if you remember, they just had Bernanke up on the stand a while ago, and they're like, $500 billion was given to foreign banks. That's the bailout. Remember that? $500 billion of your grandchildren's money was given to foreigners, foreign banks, and Bernanke said, I won't tell you who got the money. I won't tell you who got it. I won't tell you what it was spent on. Your grandchildren will be paying for this. They'll be slaves to this new global regime. We'll go over that in a bit. Just think about that. Okay, so anyway, yeah, and they're moving the gold. And what are they doing with the gold? They're manipulating markets and currencies. Oh, that's real good. I trust these people. They're good. So you love this one. This is from Timothy Geithner. Yeah, the guy who was in charge of the New York Fed who's now your Treasury Secretary. Funny how all these banking people get a revolving door in Washington. Different than Bush, huh? Boy, same thing, but you got a new black face on the lie. So we got U.S. Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner shocked global markets by revealing that Washington is quite open to Chinese proposals for a gradual development of global reserve currency run by the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. So global bankers can do better what the private banking cartel called the Fed did in the country. They're taking your currency down. You people get ready for hyperinflation. Matter of fact, I'm going to air a show just for you. I'm going to call it hyperinflation, and I hope you enjoy it. But remember this. If you borrow money from someone and you can't pay them back, eventually they want something. They usually call it collateral. This is the Chinese telling you, we want a new reserve currency. Watch some of the early shows. Learn about money. This is important. Here's big news for you. Got a picture. Oh, and by the way, hopefully you enjoyed the other pics, but here's Len Horowitz. You probably haven't heard that much of Dr. Len Horowitz. He was the guy 2 weeks before the anthrax attacks, wrote the FBI and says, hey, I think there's going to be anthrax attacks. They did nothing about it for 6 months, but they used that hype, didn't they? To sell you the Patriot Act, to keep the 9/11 fear going, okay? Even though the whole 9/11 thing was a false flag terrorism event, okay? It was not what they told you. It wasn't done by who they told you. It wasn't done how they told you, okay? But they continue to lie for you to years, and we'll go over some of that.